If you have ever taken the time to envision all the things that you want to change or accomplish in the new year, but then after a month or so you have completely let those goals go, then this video is for you. We're gonna do things a little bit differently this time around because I personally believe that we all deserve to be our best selves and live our best lives, and I wanna help you make that your reality. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Brianna, and I am here to help you close the gap between where you are now and where you want to be through proven strategies. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So step one, we are going to create your 2.0 self, your future self, the new character you're stepping into. This is key because we often think about what new habits we want to stick to, what we want to accomplish or change, but we don't tend to think about changing who we are. But if we stay the exact same version of ourselves that we are now, then we're likely just going to continue to get the same results. Probably not what we want. So let's create this new version of you, the you that you are becoming throughout 2025. What do you do? What do your habits look like? What kinds of decisions do you make? What does your day-to-day look like? How do you carry yourself? How do you feel? What do you believe about yourself? What do you prioritize? Go through these questions and try to get a really clear vision of what this new version of you is like. And this will serve as the North Star of the version of yourself that you are working toward becoming. Now, if you see those questions and you don't quite know where to start or what you want your answers to be, think about what are the things that you want to change and accomplish. And then you can use that as a starting framework. For example, if you know you want to eat healthier, think of yourself as becoming the version of yourself with a healthier diet. What kind of habits do you have? What kind of decisions do you make? What kinds of things do you prioritize? What does your day-to-day look like as someone with a healthy diet who chooses to eat healthier? What kind of mindset around healthy eating might you have? And even if you go through all that and you're like, I honestly have no idea, then one thing that I found to be super helpful is to think of someone within your life who has those qualities that you're wanting to embody and think about, okay, what kind of habits do they have? What kind of decisions do they make? And if you think of someone who you follow on social media, someone who is hopefully a reputable source for what it is that you're looking to embody, then there's a good chance that through their Instagram stories or something like that, through their captions, you can probably get a little bit of an insight as to what their mindset around these things are. You can also use something like ChatGPT, but just, as long as you understand going into it that it serves as a guiding light and not, a very specific right or wrong or specific framework to follow. I like to sit there and write out my list like this. So now we have this vision of the new you, who you're working toward becoming. This is so helpful for reminding your brain of how you want to show up every day and continuously reminding you of the identity that you're looking to take on. So wherever you wrote out the answers to these questions, wherever you wrote out this vision of the new you, I highly, highly, highly recommend coming back to this daily. Again, to continuously remind your brain, this is how I'm wanting to show up now. This is the version of me I'm stepping into. This is the new identity that I want to take on for myself. And then based on this vision of the new you and what it is that you're wanting to change and accomplish, step 2 is getting very specific on the actions that you are aiming to follow through with. So in the vision of the new you, you wrote down specific actions that you'll be taking, and ideally they're in alignment with the things that you want to change and accomplish, as well as how you want to show up for yourself. So let's make a plan to help you follow through with those. So we're going to take this vision, but instead of leaving things a little bit more big picture, a little bit more vague, we're going to make specific quarterly goals. Now you can go ahead and set quarterly goals for each of the 4 quarters, or we can go ahead and just look at what you want to initially prioritize and set Q1 goals, and then as each quarter approaches, you can go in and set goals for each new quarter. Now, I've recently had a lot of fun using ChatGPT to help me with all of this, and I made a video on it, so you can go ahead and check it out if you want to do that as well. I'll have the video linked here. But when it comes to setting goals or making changes, there are 2 ways that we can go about this. So some people will prefer option 1, which is to go just absolutely all in, work on implementing a number of the shifts that you want to make, and kind of use it as a trial and error and learn as you go and make adjustments as needed. Option 2 is to focus on one new thing, showing up in one new way, and then building upon that as time goes. One is not better or worse than the other. They are just 2 different ways of going about things, and one may work better for your personality than the other. But whichever route you're wanting to take, we're going to go ahead and pick the things and the actions that you're wanting to prioritize in Q1. And for anyone who's unfamiliar with the quarter system, that essentially divides the year up into 4 different quarters, with each being 3 months long. So Q1 is going to be January through March. And this can just help us set more specific goals and help us better stay on track rather than saying, okay, in 2025, I want to blank. So once you've chosen the actions that you want to prioritize, we're going to make a plan for how you're actually going to follow through with these. So let's say, for example, one of your Q1 goals is a savings or investing goal. And maybe what is going to help you follow through with that is to have a specific action of going in and setting up automations for money to automatically be sent to your savings account or investing account. And then depending on your personality, what is going to help you follow through with that? Maybe that's adding that action to your calendar. Maybe that's setting some kind of reward for yourself once you complete that action. Or as another example, let's say in the new year, you want to work on becoming someone who keeps a very tidy and organized home. And maybe what will help you become that version of yourself is to have a weekly clean and reset time where you set aside 1 to 2 hours each week to clean and tidy your home. Or maybe it's working on a habit around cleaning up the kitchen each night so that you walk into a fresh new kitchen every single morning. Basically, we want to take your main priorities for the quarter, which I personally recommend keeping it between 1 to 5 things, but that's up to you. And then we want to think about, okay, what's going to help me actually follow through with that? Or at least we want an initial plan of how we're going to do those actions. Following through in the moment is a little bit different of a story, but we at least initially want a plan. I highly recommend keeping all of this written down somewhere so that you can easily come back to, okay, 1, you have your vision of your 2.0 self or your future self, but then we also have written down our specific priorities and actions that we're aiming for throughout the year or specifically for quarter 1 that we can easily reference and come back to and just help keep top of mind. And then for these specific actions, think about what is going to help you follow through with them. Maybe that's setting some kind of reminder in your phone or some kind of alarm. Maybe it's putting it in your calendar. Maybe you're using some kind of habit tracker. Maybe you find a Notion template super helpful. Step 3 is to create a visual for who you're becoming. This is essentially a vision board, if you want to call it that, but you want to gather pictures that help convey who you're becoming, the specific actions you're wanting to follow through with, what you want your day-to-day look like, or your week-to-week or month-to-month, depending on the thing, and use it as something to refer back to help remind you of who it is that you're wanting to become. I personally like to use Pinterest for the pictures and then put everything together on Canva, but there are a number of ways that you can do this. Take the specific actions and priorities of this new you and find pictures that help convey that. And then you can also find pictures that just make you feel like that vision of the new you as well. Like for me, that might be pictures of specific jewelry or pictures of specific outfits, pictures that align with the vibe. And these don't have to be your very typical things that you might find on a vision board, like traveling to a specific country or being on a plane or seeing a specific number in your bank account. Again, what would you see more a little bit in your day to day? So maybe that's checking your bank account. Maybe that's reading a book on finance. Maybe it's a picture of someone cleaning while they're listening to music. Maybe it's a picture of an early alarm to get up and go work out early in the morning. And then if you really want to take this a step further, a really cool thing to do is to then, as this starts to become your day-to-day, this starts to become who you are, you can take pictures that you can then replace the original picture with one from your own life. Or you can even check them off as you go. At the end of the day, you want to make it yours, make it something that works for you. And just as another little tip, I personally like to make one every single quarter because I just find it fun to create new ones and feel a little bit re-inspired each time. So you can do that as well. Step 4 is keeping focus and tracking progress. Keeping your focus on your goals and who you want to be can be the difference in you actually achieving those things and seeing those changes come to fruition, and changing things for 2 weeks and then just reverting back to your same old, same old. You can absolutely play around with what will help you stay focused on these goals and showing up as this new version of you. but I highly recommend at least looking at your becoming list and your vision board daily. It doesn't have to take very long. You can take like 2 minutes in the morning as you're sipping on your coffee and just use it as a reminder for the brain and to help keep it top of mind. I also highly recommend having either a weekly or monthly reflection to spend time actively reflecting on how things are going, your progress, what's working for you, what's not, where you can make adjustments, where you can pivot, and also taking time to notice the subtle shifts and changes, because oftentimes change is so subtle, and if we don't take time to notice it, it can be so easy to believe our brains when it says that we're not going anywhere, that we're not making any changes, that we've fallen off track, that we're unsuccessful. And being able to see where we are actually making changes, even if they are small and subtle, and show our brain that we are making progress can make such a big difference in us actually staying on track. And just as a side note, staying on track or being consistent with things does not mean sticking with things 100% of the time or being perfect. It's okay if you falter a little bit. We are only human. And when that happens, we can use that as a learning opportunity to realize what works best for us and what maybe doesn't work so well for us. Really, what matters most is getting back to doing the thing, getting back to those actions, getting back to taking on that new identity. That's what's going to yield results. You can put whatever you want in your reflection, but I recommend going ahead and deciding if you're going to do a weekly or monthly reflection and just committing to that. And then putting reminders in your calendar or somewhere each week or each month of when you're going to do that. And then you can ask yourself questions like, what tiny shifts and changes can I notice in myself, in my behavior, in my circumstances or environment? In what ways can I notice I am starting to show up like my future self or 2.0 self? What has seemed to be an obstacle for me, and what can I learn from that? Is there something that I can adjust? How can I better set myself up for success? What am I proud of myself for? Is there anything I would like to change moving forward? Okay, let's do a quick recap of everything and help set you up for success. Step 1 is to make a becoming list. Get detailed on the version of yourself that you are choosing to become. Step 2 is to make a rough draft of quarterly goals for the year, and then pick out very specific actions that you are prioritizing for Q1 or January through March that help align with this new you. Step 3 is to create a visual that you can refer back to that represents this new you, your new lifestyle, and the changes and goals that you have for yourself. And step 4 is to do a weekly or monthly reflection. So there you have it. This is our strategy for stepping into the changes that we want to make in the new year. If you are a Notion fan, I have created a Notion template that can store all of this for you. So you can go ahead and grab that for free in the video description. Now, planning is one thing, actually following through in the moment is another. So if that is something that you end up finding yourself struggling with, I highly recommend getting on my email list and also checking out some of my other videos, because I go over this specific thing. Because let's be honest, gathering information, planning, that tends to be the easy stuff. The integration and follow through, that's where we tend to struggle. So that is what I want to help you with. Thanks so much for being here, and I wish us all the best 2025.